everyone, and welcome to episode 153 of the 10-minute modeling challenge. And this week we're going back to basics again. Low poly 10-minute modeling style. We're going to be making a wood PIER, and I'm actually going to be a little bit more true to the low poly style this week because I got a little bit sidetracked, of course, because I've been venturing into a little bit of a higher poly domain. I've done some sculpting and then decimated it into a low poly look, but I think I'm going to go for the classic look, and we'll see how that fits into the world. Because if you rewind the clock like 3 weeks or something, we did a bunch of rock formations, and then we went in to make some broadleaf trees, and then I made some conifer trees, and then we put that into an Unreal Engine island. So and then I got a little bit sidetracked because I downloaded Unreal Engine 5.7 because I wanted to look at nanite with the voxelization, because I thought that's going to be the silver bullet and make everything run super cool and stuff. The overdraw is a little bit less after testing, but it's not really that magic silver bullet, unfortunately. So we're still having some performance issues, but it still runs amazingly cool anyway. So I'm not too worried about that. Anyway, now we're going to see how this low poly PIER fits into this environment that we've been creating in Unreal Engine. So that's going to be exciting. So I'm going to try to model it in 10 minutes, and then we'll see how much time I need to fiddle around with it to make it nice looking. And I also want to mention, of course, that there's a couple of big things coming up in the next couple of weeks. First of all, on the 23rd of October, which is just about 10 days away, I think, or less now. Whoa, this is approaching fast. Unfair Rampage Nightfall is being released on Steam. So if you want to have a look at the link in the description, you can head over to the Steam page and wishlist that one if you don't mind, because that'll help it a little bit with the exposure when launch day comes. Maybe I can get a little bit higher up on those lists. I don't really have the wish list that's recommended for a Steam launch, because you should really have at least 7,000 wish lists, or preferably 10,000 or more, to get maximum traction when you launch a game. But again, I need to launch this game now and document everything, because the reason why I created this game to begin with was to have a foundational game, a reference game for the ultimate indie program that I've created for Game Dev TV. And that's the second big news, because on the 26th of October, just 3 days after the launch of the game, then we're launching the ultimate indie, the second class. And last time around in May and June, we had over 200 students creating a whole bunch of cool games. And then I've got over 160 video lectures spanning over 30 hours full of content. That's all going to be in the program again, but we're extending it by 1 week into 7 weeks. And then a lot of the focus will be in the dedicated Discord server. Everyone that's creating a game during this period will get a dedicated forum channel for their game. It's going to be their new home for the game, where a lot of the other participants and me and other Game Dev Game Dev TV people can test the game builds and come with a lot of important feedback, which is crucial at the early stages of a game. So if you want to join, have a look at the link in the description. If you click on that one, that'll bring you to the course page, or the Ultimate Indie Program page. And make sure to use that link, because it's got a little reference code, so people know that it's coming from my YouTube channel. So check out the link in the description if you want to join the second class of Ultimate Indie of 2025. It's going to be a cool program. I'm really excited about that. All right, so now we're in Blender 4.5, and I've got my standard, classic little scene loaded here. And of course, I'm using the Imphenzia Pixpal palette texture. Another link in the description if you want to go and grab that one. That's free. If you just click on that one, you can download it, and it comes with a blend setup. So you get this material that's already all set up for you. It's pretty basic, but at least you don't have to set it up manually. So then you can start using the same technique as I'm doing here for some quick colorization. So I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock, and we're going to be creating a PIER, PIERs that we're going to be creating a PIER. Oh my, I'm not going to say that again. There's a little, there we go. All right. So 10 minutes on the clock. Am I recording? Always good to check before, because I've done it so many times. I've missed to record, and yes, all good. So PIER, ready, steady, go, and we're off. Yeah, the time is ticking. So I'm going to do my old school style. Shift T to duplicate that one. Shift D, subdivide. And then we have to go into Loop Tools and do Circle X. And then I'm going to limited dissolve that one, scale it down. I'm going to try to get it decent into scale. So I'm going to make it maybe this wide, the PIER. And then I'm going to slide this down to maybe there, and E to extrude. And I wanted to make sure that it sends it down deep into the water if it's, because we're going to import that into the scene. So something like that, maybe a little bit thinner. So, and then G, I'm going to put A on the left side, G, and move it onto some sort of a wood color. Maybe there is good. So that's our first PIER pillar. And then I'm just going to do Control B maybe to bevel that one. And we'll do it at the bottom so we can flip this one to Control B. And then I'm just going to wonkify it a little bit. So Control R for loop cut here, G to move it, Control R, just get some basic stuff going. Control R for loop cuts, something like this. R to rotate that one, rotate it, something like this. So that's simple as that. So L to select the link, go to the top view, Shift D to duplicate it, and then we'll space them out maybe about that far. And I'm going to do Shift R to do it again, and Shift R and Shift R again. So something like that. Maybe should we do one more? All right, let's go for one more. There we go. And then A to select everything, and then Shift L to deselect that one, Shift D to duplicate, and then I'm just going to do something like this. And now it can't all look the same, so I have to unfortunately manually do this. So 8:32 on the clock there. I guess we can keep them, maybe this one, proportional is always good. So O for proportional, G to move this one, and then I'm just going to scroll this one up a little bit, and let's just wonkify this a little bit. We don't want it to... This is the good thing when you're on a time constraint now, because then I can't really spend too much time on it, and it naturally gets a little bit like less perfect, because I want it to look a little bit nearly medieval or something like that. So Control R, loop cut that on, rotate that maybe a little bit less on the there, Control R. So maybe scale this one, just scale there, and then G to move this, and something like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, and of course it isn't. So, but make it a little bit less uniform. So there we go. 2.5 minutes gone. So that's going to be the base of our PIER. Now I'm going to create some planks. So I'll use this as a guide. I think I'm going to have it up here somewhere. So scale it down. Scale X0. I guess we'll make this along the Y-axis for no apparent reason. And then I'm going to move this one here, scale it on the Y-axis, and then E to extrude this one, and we'll just create a plank there. That's it. That's our first plankton. There we go. Something like this. Pretty thick, but that's okay. That's going to be the foundation. Control R to loop cut that on. Control R to loop cut G, and I'm a bit wary of the time here, because when you have to do repetitive stuff like this, it always feels like you're not making a lot of progress. G, and then G, just need to make them a little bit different. There we go. So L to select the link, Shift E to duplicate, Y, and then slide it to there, and then Shift R to duplicate that operation, and then we need to just make it look less uniformed. So everything has to be a little bit different, but the good thing is that you get sort of a similar style. I don't really have time in this time frame to like do the color, like the UV colorization, but that's okay. Maybe I'll do there, and then Control R, loop cut that on, and these are looking way too similar. So G to move that on, and G to move it a little bit thicker. That's fine. G to move that on up or down a bit, and there we go. G and L. So 4 minutes already gone. Time goes so fast when you're having fun. There we go. So, and these are, I guess these are going to be under, so I'm not going to spend too much more time. I don't really have much more time. Shift D to duplicate that on, E to extrude, and then we'll make some planks now. I'm just going to have to make, this one's going to go like a shore or something. Maybe actually I wanted to, I'm going to delete this. L to select the link. And, whoa, why did I have a double? Was that double? Delete, verts, there we go. L select the link, and I'm going to move that down here. For some reason I want to start on this end. Move it a little bit closer to there, and grab it there, and then I'm just going to bring maybe to about there or something. And then Control R and Control R. I'm going to loop cut it this way, because then I can extend this one a little bit. E to extrude. Control R, loop cut that one, and then E to extrude, and something like that. So it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. G to move, and Control R, G to move, Control R. So that's going to be a plank. L to select the link, Shift D to duplicate that one. And then here, I'm not too happy that these are the same length, of course. So maybe I'll just O for proportional, and then we'll extend this plank to over there. And then we'll make one shorter too. Maybe that should be enough. So Shift D to duplicate that on. And then how am I doing? About half the time is gone, a little bit more. So here, I'll compress this one, and Control plus, compress this one to there, and Control plus and compress this one a little bit too. There we go. So something like this, and this is looking way too like spaced out now. So G, and then G, change the proportional, and these are looking too uniform. I should have done this after actually. E to extrude that on, and then here, just move that on in. Okay, that's going to be okay. So 13 on the clock to go. So Alt select link, Shift D to duplicate, bring that one to there. That's fine. And Alt select link, Shift D to duplicate. Just get these a little bit like. These are really big planks, actually. I don't know if they could make these big. I guess they could make these big planks because they could make those big ship back in those days. Alt select the link, Shift D to duplicate that one. This feels nice. This is like old school low poly modeling now. I'm happy with this. And then we'll do another long plank here. Alt select the link, Shift D to duplicate, and it's okay that it's a little bit spaced out like this. Rotate Z. Okay, it just barely fits. And then Alt select the link, duplicate this one, and bring that to there. I've got screencast keys running, yeah, that's good. And now I can just manually select these, extend that plank, and then we'll do the same for this. These are all too uniform too. Oh, I still have that one selected. There we go. Trunk, extend, Control R, extend, and then we should have had a hole in the here too. Actually, I'm gonna make a hole here, so holy plank. There we go. Okay, that was not quite what I was thinking. So something like this. We want a hole in the bridge. Or PIER, sorry, it's a PIER. Control R. Now we need to make this look a little bit less uniform, so rotate. And I know there are, like, you can use special operations to do some like randomization and stuff, but I like to have the artistic control when I do these type of things. So there we go. I'm just gonna, maybe I can do G to move that on, and G to move this. I just need to make this look less like exactly the same. So maybe I'll E to extrude that on, and Control R, loop cut that on. What did I do there? E to extrude. Okay, 224 to go. I think we're okay. And G to move that on. So yeah, that's okay. And then should we put some stuff on the sides? These are the base. Everything's the same color now. We can like recolorize it afterwards maybe. Maybe we'll do it a little slant there too, like it's some old wood that's like hanging over there. So there we go, Control R, G. All right, so now I'm gonna put some planks. I think these are looking the same, aren't they? That's okay. So now I'm gonna put some planks on the side here too. So Shift D to duplicate that one for no apparent reason. We'll just grab any of them. Scale on the X-axis and E to extrude this one. Alt select linked, and we'll put like a bit of a railing. I don't know, maybe not during the whole thing, but something around here. How high up am I here? That's about 1 meter. So we'll grab it about there. We've got about 1 minute to just do something a little bit different here. It would have been cool to put some ropes and stuff on too. But ropes, like stuff like that takes a little bit extra time, but we'll try. I'll select the linked, and then maybe I'll just move one over here. Like a bit of patchwork here, that's fine. And then G to move that on, Control R, don't know why I did that, but I just felt like it. So we'll grab this plank, Shift D to duplicate this one over here, slide it down and scale it a bit thicker, maybe scale X-axis, G. Maybe I'll just angle this one a little bit more, and then Shift D to duplicate this one, G to move it, rotate, something like this. And here we go. Oh, this one's like hanging out in the middle of nowhere, so 40 seconds to go. I'll try to put a little rope on, should I? I don't know. Shift D to duplicate that on. Ah, this is not going to work. Alt E to extrude long phase normals. Okay, this is going to be something else. I don't know what this is. Control R, loop cuts. Ah, proportional off, 20 seconds. Alt, select linked, Shift D to duplicate that one, rotate, Shift D to duplicate. All right, let's just put, I don't know why it would be out here, but that's okay. Shift D to duplicate. Oh, right. Ah, 7 seconds. There we go. Rotate, G. Oh, it's like hanging in the middle of nowhere now, these things. Ah! This miss. All right, so that's our PIER now. I should put some rope. Let's import this one first of all into Unreal Engine and see what it looks like, and then we'll see how much tweaking is needed. First, I'm just gonna save this one, Control S, and then we'll export this one. So I'm gonna use my Unreal Prepper add-on that I've created, and then I'll just select this one, F2, rename it Wood PIER. Actually, I'm gonna use like the Unreal Engine naming scheme, so SM for static mesh. And then I'm going to export the selection. We don't need, here, no animations, export selected. Then we'll just put it on the desktop and we'll call it Wood PIER. SM wood pier. Export selected. Minimize this one. Go into Unreal Engine, making sure we're still recording. Yeah, always good. And then dragging in the wood pier, and then just importing this one. And I've got my scene loaded. If you looked at any of the previous episodes, like a couple of weeks ago, you'll see when we created some of these trees and stuff. So I've got the wood pier here. I'm going to double click on that one, and then just go change it to Imphenzia Pix palette texture. And we're going to use this one. No, like just a really standard one. And then one more thing I want to do. I want to put the collision. So I'm going to search for okay, maybe I should actually be like this. Collision, and then I'm going to go project default. I'm going to change his, like this one, customize collision to use complex as simple, because then I can walk on this pier. And then we'll drag it in and see what it looks like. Woo! There we go. Well, it's there anyway. It doesn't matter which way we put it. It's a bit, I don't know if it's too small, but we'll try it. And maybe something like, oh yeah, I wanted actually the ropes to be like at the tip there. So should I put it by the rock? No, we'll put it here. So there we go. That's our pier. And something like this. Now I'm going to press Alt-P and we'll see if we can walk on it too. Alt-P, I should be able to walk out on this pier now. It's got like a robotic type of guy now, so it doesn't quite make sense that it's like a pirate style bridge here, but yeah, it works. Woohoo! Okay, the collision is a bit... I'd probably have to create a custom collision for it because I seem to be inside of it for some reason. Interesting. It needs a bit of tweak that. And I can't really walk through. Very sensitive. Okay, so I'd probably have to create a custom collision thing for this one. It doesn't feel quite good, actually. Maybe it's still got the other collider on it or something. Let's check. So, visibility, player collision. No, it's there. It's very finicky. That's good to know. So I would make a separate collider for it and then just slap that on there instead. Like a really primitive one. So it gets better, because you cannot have something that's this unwalkable. But that's okay. How does it look like under? Yeah, that works too. This is just using the standard Unreal Engine water. Should we see if we can improve it a little bit now, like looks-wise, to see... Maybe I'll put another 10 minutes on it and see if I can put... And then we'll put them next to each other. How about that? That could be the tinker time now. So we'll go back into Unreal Engine and then Shift-D to duplicate this one. We'll put that one over there and then we'll see how much we can improve this one in 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to texturize it a little bit. So with it being many different planks, it always takes a lot extra time because you have to repeat the process over and over again. But we'll see what we can do. So another 10 minutes, tinker time, ready, steady, go, and we're off. Yeah, here we go. All right, so first I want to just create some ropes here, and I should probably use, like ideally I should have used some plugin for that, like the pipe maker thing. But it's all right, I don't have, I think I've got it installed. I bought it, but I haven't really used it that much. So I'm going to just use edit, and then circle, F to select that one, G, rotate Z, and then here I'm just going to manually like create this instead. It just needs to look all right. So E to extrude, R to rotate, E to extrude, R to rotate, and then E to extrude. Bring it up to here, and then I'm just going to do to there, Control R to loop cut, Control R, loop cut, Control R, loop cut, and then L to select the linked, and we have to select like this kind of color. So similar here. I think when I create new geometry, usually it ends up down there in the lower left corner, 0, 0. So we'll bring that one up to there. So at least that's like something. And then I think I'll do Shift-D to duplicate that one, rotate. I'll just do like one more, as if it's for some reason like hanging onto this one. And then L to select the link, Shift-D to duplicate, and move that into the middle of nowhere. So something like this, rotate. And just for something. It's not perfect, but it's all right. And G. There we go. And should we put on this side too? Yeah, I think so. Alt select the linked, Shift-D to duplicate it and move it over to there. R to rotate. And I think I'm going to do this one like diagonal a little bit. So L select linked, rotate Z, G, something like that. L select linked, Shift E to duplicate this one. It doesn't matter that we've got some overlapping geometry here. Perfectly fine. Rotate. Then Shift E to duplicate that on, and let's just do like a double, like knot thing there. So something like that, a little bit different, I suppose. And now we have to make the planks look a little bit different. So maybe we can put some wood colorization in it. So again, people that are afraid of end guns and stuff now, you're gonna have to look away, because I'm gonna be doing some nasty stuff here. So K knife tool, and then I'm just gonna create a little area here. There we go. And then Control select to there. And what color should we pick this one? We'll make it a little bit darker, maybe 2 steps down. Okay, so I'm using, like, I've got more in this gradient here, so maybe something like that. That's good. So I'm gonna go to top view now, and then I'm gonna press 1 to go into this one, and then I'm just gonna start cutting. Okay, Control Z, you can actually go back 1 step if you did something stupid. And Control Z again, there we go, and enter. And now that I'm in vertex mode, number 1 here, the good thing is that when I create these, it's actually automatically gonna select these, which I'm really happy about. It kind of selects the inner faces here, so we can go like this, and there, enter. Okay, didn't select all of them for some reason. Let's manually select them. 1, and then K for knife tool again, and we'll do more cutting, something like this. And that one can be the same. K, so here's the tedious process. And there, and for some reason it doesn't, oh, I deselected those. Shift select these because I need to colorize these. So K again, and I don't think now when I'm in face mode, which is number 3 on the keyboard, I don't think it's actually gonna select these planks now. No, see, it doesn't select them at all. So I'm actually a little bit closer at least when I'm in number 1 here. So, but again, I don't want to select those. So 1, here we go. Okay, I'll do it. I'll fix it. K and knife cut here. And here we go to there. Okay, I'm just going to select those afterwards instead now. So K. I wish there was a way to tell Blender to force selector like this, like it selects the inner ones there. It would have been really good if we could force it to do that all the time. K. So here we go. And as a workflow approach, it might actually be better to, instead of creating a pier like this, it might be better to create a bunch of planks instead as assets. And then you can use them to assemble, whether it's a pier or a bridge, or maybe just you want to put some things on the side of a building or something, like a facade. Then, so it might be better just to create maybe like 20 different planks instead, because then you don't have to repeat this process over and over again. And then you can always like customize and wonkify it a little bit manually later on. Something like this. And then here, let's do another one on this one. And let's see if this is worth the effort now to make it look a little bit more, less uniform. Okay. And here we go. Knife tool. Oh, this one doesn't have any. K. K. K, 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 K. There we go. And K again. All the way up to here. We'll do a thinner one. I've got some snapping on now. I should probably disable that one, because it's a little bit difficult not to get it to snap sometimes. Here we go. And something like this. That's a bit of a stupid one. Now I'm going to use C instead for circle select, and then I can maybe select a bunch of these. C, make it really small. Middle mouse button deselects. And then we'll scroll down here, deselect that on, and see. Sometimes I'm wondering like why I can't use Blender. It's like not responding, and it's usually because I'm still in circle select. So you have to press enter or something to confirm it. Deselect those and deselect, select. That's okay. Select these. I'm used in circle select with an extremely small circle now. That's why this is working. So circle select, middle mouse button, and something like that. And then just gonna move these now down to the same. So a lot of that work just to get that little bit of extra plank definition. Maybe I should make it even a little bit more darker, like that. So that was like 5 minutes it took to do that alone. a lot of work, and you'd probably need a lot more work. So here it might actually be faster to texture paint these things instead. Maybe I'll change the color a little. Okay, this one needs fixing. So Control R for loop cut on this one. Control R, loop cut. And there, Control R, loop cut this one. Just make it a little bit wonky like that. I guess we can make like a bigger split here. So G to move this one and something like this. Maybe I'll do scale Z, rotate. So it looks like a split plank like that. But these would also need the colorization. This is way too sharp too. It wouldn't go like this. G, there we go. And wonkify this one. There we go. And should we do, maybe the poles should be slightly darker too. L, 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 just to break up the contrast a little bit. So select a whole bunch of these, all of them, in fact. And then A on the left, and then just move them down to a little bit darker. A bit darker even. Something like that. So they're like a different color. I think that'll look a bit better. And I mean, theoretically, I could just spend the rest of the time just creating more of those textures, but maybe we'll do a little bit difference to these and see if that makes a difference. So Control plus, I'm gonna make this one brighter, like that. That will work. I should probably do that to all of them, to all of the tips. And then I could also consider doing something like a little spirally thing here, like this. Let's see how that looks. Well, I'll have to do that on all of them. But G, move that on. I think that'll be quite interesting to do. So I guess we'll, in 1 minute, I'm going to try to do it on a bunch of these. There's no way to really automate the repetitive process on all of these unless you do it like beforehand. So Control plus G to move that up to here, and then G move there, and then I'm just gonna have to cut these then. So K, and then like spiral select. They don't have to look the same anyway, so something like that. And then I've got 1 minute to do these now, so K. And here's the beautiful thing: when you're in a rush, everything looks different anyway, and you don't want perfection when you're making like these type of thing. I don't think anything that I do is perfection, even though I always feel like I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but it doesn't show because I'm always like rushed at doing things, but that's okay. So 42 seconds, K, just do a little simpler one there. I guess some of them can be super simple like this, and K, and running out of time, and K, can I get a rewind? 20 seconds. Okay, these are going to be super quick now. K, and here we go. And one more, I think. Or is it two more? K, probably two more. But I only have 14 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to leave one because then maybe I can make these. Well, I'm going to leave two. So shift select, 6 seconds. Shift select, shift select. Okay, I'm just going to color those because at least some of them got colored. There we go. I'm just gonna like pretend that this is within the time frame. So I'm gonna select this one, select that one, shift select this one, shift select that one, and then we'll just move those down to like a darker color, something like that. So, and should we do these two? Yeah, like this is qualified. It's like a mulligan or something, whatever they call it in golf. So grab this one, K knife tool, and put a little bit even more effort on the last one there. There we go, if you can call that effort. And then shift select and then G to move this one down to here. So now we'll just import this tier PIER and see if it makes any difference. You'd have to really put probably another hour or something into creating all the detail that's necessary to bring them up a little bit more. Because ideally you'd probably want a bunch of nails too. Should we just see what a nail would look like? So if I do Shift E to duplicate that on, proportional off there, right click, subdivide, circle, and it disappeared somewhere. Where did it go? Circle. Whoa, okay, have we got that bug again now? Scale Z, circle, okay, no, we didn't. So X, limited dissolve, takes away that little cross in the center, we don't need that on. Now G to move this one to, how do we get it? There. So I'm going to do like a cartoony type of nail. We can actually move this one down to the metal one here. So there we go, E to extrude, and L select linked. And then I'll just extrude like this one. So E to extrude. Actually, I'm gonna do just Shift E to duplicate that one, scale it down, then E to extrude, and E to extrude, something like this. Just like a wonky nail. L select linked, this is a big one. L select linked again. Actually, do you know what? I think I want this as one mesh anyway, because it's gonna be simpler to select it. So I'm gonna do this instead anyway. Select this one, and then I to inset it, and then E to extrude, and E to extrude, R to rotate, and G to move it, and E to extrude, and L, G, and then we'll just do R to rotate, Shift E to duplicate. So you could do something like this, I guess, to create like a bunch of nails. Let's just see what it looks like anyway. I think they look too shiny and too big, or too, I don't know. I guess you'd use giant nails anyway, but something like that. Shift E to duplicate. We can see what it looks like anyway in the game engine. R to rotate, scale to up that one a bit. Shift E. They had like they probably used a blacksmith or something to create the nails back in these days. There we go. So I'm just gonna try like a few nails there to see what it looks like. So, and the other ones could have been glued. Probably not. All right, let's try this one. So F2, and I'm just gonna, should I overwrite that one? Yeah, I'll overwrite the previous one. It makes it simpler. So Unreal Prepper, link in the description to my website where you can grab this plugin for free. No support and warranty because it's probably a little bit buggy, but it works just to do the essentials. Export selected, wood PIER, overwrite one. The nice thing now is like in Unreal Engine, I can just right click on this one and do re-import and it updates that automatically. Pow, there we go. So that's our new PIER with a little bit more detail, and we've got some nails there. We've got the ropes. Okay, that one makes no sense because it's like finishing in midair. And then Alt P, let's play. And then F11. And I think unfortunately it like resets the collider when I re-import it. Let's see. No, it doesn't actually, but it still has the issue where like it's struggling a little bit with that collider on how you can walk on it. So, okay. Underwater, over water. So, I mean, with the whole landscape full of things like different houses and different piers and bridges and planks, I think this level of detail is fine for stylized stuff anyway. Even if the trees have a little bit more detail, like the tree trunks and stuff, I think this level of detail would work. It comes down to a lot of lighting stuff anyway. So maybe I can I copy this one? Let's try it. So F11, let's just duplicate this one, or hold the Alt key and drag it, make a bridge across the River Kwai. Alt, Alt. So this pier is now becoming a primitive bridge. There we go. Alt. Can I cross it? I wish the colliders could bake a little bit better. If it could create better like game-ready colliders, that would be nice. Because then wouldn't get this glitchiness here. I think it's a little bit easier to work with primitive colliders in Unreal Engine, to be honest, than it is in because you can create like compound colliders with a whole bunch of box colliders a little bit easier. You don't get this glitchiness. Yeah, that works. So, all right, folks. It's as simple as that sometimes. Just make a pier, and then you can tweak it a little bit. So I think, yeah, that's exciting. I'm going to be building some more low poly assets, and we can put in this environment. I mean, if we look at the island here, we've got quite a lot of space to put things. So this little pier is not going to be filling a lot of content. So, all right, so that's going to be it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this quick little episode on making a low poly pier. And then if you want to check the link in the description to Unfair Rampage, again, I'll plug that one. It's launching on the 23rd of October. And again, one last mention is that the Ultimate Indie program is launching again on the 26th of October. If you want to join us to make games over a 7-week period, a lot of cool stuff is happening during that period, and you get access to 160 lectures and over 30 hours of content, and you get a free copy of Universal Sound Effects 2, all sorts of cool stuff. Check the link in the description for that one and sign up, because we only run these twice per year, so you don't want to miss out on that one, and it's 50% discount if you join now too, so check that one out. And come back next week for another video, and I'll see you shortly again. Have a great one, and bye for now.